The color guard today is the American Legion Post 249 and the VFW Post 10184. Color guard, post your colors. Present arms. All please rise. Order, arms. Please remain standing. We'll have invocation by Reverend Donald Bragg, pastor, Parsippany Presbyterian Church. Uncover.
Will you pray with me? We thank you, God, for the beauty of this country, from its coasts and the valleys and the hills, and the beauty of its forest and its prairie land. We thank you for the vision of democracy given to us by our ancestors, hard fought, fiercely defended, and often paid for in blood, enjoyed by most when gratitude to you and to those who gifted it to us are remembered. Thank you for the people of this country and all our differing opinions and outlooks, yet we are united in our love of freedom and for this country. We thank you, God, for the willingness of our citizens to step forward and to defend this country with their very lives. Honor and bless this service this morning as we hold and honor those who gave their lives for our freedom. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Bragg. Now we shall have the national anthem. Michelle Mazzino Roberts will do the singing. Michelle? Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Michelle. Beautiful as always. Now we shall have the Pledge of Allegiance by the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of Parsippany. Keep the microphone. This way, this way. Come on.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we will have the American Creed by Emma Steer, Senior Girl Scout. Please be seated.
I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, and justice and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Thank you, Emma. Now we will have the welcome by Mayor James Barberio.
Good morning, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here at Parsippany's annual Memorial Day ceremony. As I stand here and look out amongst you, a certain feeling comes over me, a feeling of awe, that I am among a dedicated and honored group of former military who are fortunate enough to have survived their service to this great nation. We're here today with me to honor their fallen brethren who, like them, have worn the uniform of the United States with pride, defending our liberty and way of life. Airmen, sailors, Marines, soldiers, young men and women, on this solemn day deserve our respect, our prayers, our honor, and above all, recognition for all they have done for this country and for the ultimate sacrifice they made with their lives. They are the very core of America. As a nation, we rely on military composed of volunteers. Our country calls on a small percentage of fellow citizens to risk their lives on behalf of the entire nation. It is our duty as American citizens to recognize how much we have asked of so few. These brave men and women who have given their lives in service to our country enlist with the knowledge that they may be sent to war and with understanding that serving in wars puts their lives in jeopardy. Let them be an inspiration for current and future generations so that we may never forget any of them and any of the men and women who laid down their lives for the freedoms we enjoy today as American citizens. Memorial Day celebrates the bravery of those who gave that what Abraham Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion in the most dangerous situation and most extreme conditions. Today we pay tribute to those fallen warriors who died defending the principles for which America stands. In closing, we say thank you for your sacrifices, for your sense of duty, and for your service. Our nation salutes you, and all of us here today salute you. Before I close, I was at Rainbow Lakes Memorial Day celebration, and I told this story that happened to me this week. I was getting my car washed over here, and the gentleman that was working real hard, going back and forth, getting all the cars in order, I introduced myself and I said, you know, you're working really hard. I'm Mayor Barberio. And his comment to me was, I was humbled that day, I'll tell you that. Well, I'm just a peon. I said, no, you're not, sir. And he said to me, well, I am a veteran. And then when I heard those words, I realized I was outranked. I should be calling him honorable for the sacrifices he made. And I left there thinking to myself, for all those that sacrificed their lives for this great nation, not just the nation, but for this town. I am blessed as all of us are blessed. Today we're going to have a guest speaker, Cheryl Dolch, whose son Ryan made the ultimate sacrifice. And if it wasn't for individuals like Ryan, I wouldn't be standing here today. You wouldn't be out there today. None of us would be here. So my heart goes out to all the veterans who sacrificed their lives for this great nation. May God bless them, their families. And God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, Matt Adamczyk, chaplain from American Legion Post 249, will give us a history of TAPS and protocol.
No bugle call is so easily recognized or more apt to stir emotion. No bugle call is so easily recognized or more apt to stir emotion than TAPS. Although TAPS is generally attributed to General Daniel Butterfield, 1831 to 1901, Butterfield did not compose TAPS, but rather modified an earlier bugle call known as tattoo. Tattoo is used to signal troops to return to their garrisons and prepare for bedtime. It was sounded an hour before the final call of the day to extinguish all fires and lights. Beginning in July 1862, the melody known as TAPS was used as the final bugle call of the day. The first use of TAPS at a funeral was also in July 1862. The soldier had died and was being buried at a time when his battery occupied an advanced position concealed in the woods. It was unsafe to fire the customary 3 volleys over the grave due to proximity of the enemy, so his captain ordered that the sounding of taps be substituted for the gunfire. The custom was taken up throughout the Army of the Potomac and finally confirmed by orders. The stirring melody of taps is now used at all military funerals. Have you ever wondered what you should do when you hear taps at a funeral or ceremony where taps is sounded? Taps consist of 24 notes sounded on a bugle or trumpet. It is performed by a solo bugler or trumpeter without accompaniment or embellishment. During a rendition of taps, all present, not in uniform, should stand at attention, facing the music, with the right hand over the heart. Men not in uniform should remove their headdress with their right hand and hold the headdress at the left shoulder, the hand being over the heart. Individuals in uniform should give the military salute at the first note of taps and maintain that position until the last note. Day is done, gone the sun, from the hills, from the lake, from the skies. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh.
Thank you, Matt. And now we will honor the fallen. Let us honor those who gave their lives in the Great Wars. World War I, 116,516 dead will be honored by George Bohr, American Legion Post 249. World War II, 405,399 dead. Mayor James Barberio presenting in honor of his father, Gregory M. Barberio, Infantry Division, U.S. Army. We will salute as he presents the flag. Korean War, 405,399 dead. I'm sorry. 54,246 dead. Jack Gary, VFW, presenting. Vietnam, 58,209 dead. Matt Adamczyk, American Legion, presenting. Lebanon, Grenada, and Panama. Bruce Michaels, American Legion, presenting. The Global War on Terror, ongoing. Cheryl Dulce, Gold Star Mother, presenting. And now laying of the wreaths will be led by Burnley McElwee, VFW Post 10184. Honored Veterans Joe Savage, American Legion Post 249, and Gary Erdman, VFW Post 10184. The VFW Rifle Squad, John Flavin and Rich Coons, VFW Commander Post 10184. We'll now have taps. Anthony Paterno, Brooklyn Middle School 8th grade band, Boy Scout Troop 173. Michelle Muslina Roberts will now sing Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been healed 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Thank you, Michelle. Now we have a guest speaker, Cheryl Dulce, a star mother, mother of Ryan Edward Dulce, Iraq War hero. Cheryl?
I promise it's not really long. It's just that as I get older, the print has to get bigger. Good morning. Before I begin, I have to warn you. I will probably, as my daughter's making faces, I will probably cry, get choked up. It's okay. I'll get through it. Don't worry about it. It's the new normal for Gold Star mothers. I'd like to thank Matt Adamczyk and the citizens of Parsippany for inviting me to speak on this special day. I once read that a person is never really gone as long as someone says their name. I love to talk about Ryan, so I'm not worried about that ever happening. Memorial Day used to be a day like any other day for me, except that as a teacher it was a day off from school, a day to go to the Memorial Day program at Town Hall, if it wasn't raining or if it wasn't too hot. grade papers, have dinner on the deck, and look forward to my children coming home for vacation. Well, sometimes I look forward to it because all of you who have college-age children, when they come home, you know it's not always fun. That all changed on the 5th of June in 2004. That's the day I joined a group of wonderful, strong women. I never wanted to join this group, and yet it is a great honor to stand with them. I did absolutely nothing to receive this honor. My son Ryan earned it for me. He gave his life for his country. On that day, I became a Gold Star mother. Memorial Day for me changed forever. June 5th, 2004 was a day like every other day, every other Saturday. I had errands to run and a box to nail to Ryan in Iraq. In the afternoon, my daughter Ann and I went to the Fireman's Parade in Wharton. It was a cold, rainy, dreary day, and as we sat at the parade, a car passed with a sign saying Gold Star Mother. My first fleeting thought was how sad that this elderly woman had lost someone so long ago. Then I went right back to watching for my son, Gregory, and my husband, who were riding on one of Mine Hill's fire trucks. Little did I know that I, too, was a Gold Star mother. When my daughter and I returned home, we turned on Channel 12 to see if there was any news of the parade. A scroll across the bottom of the screen said 2 New Jersey National Guard soldiers killed in Iraq. Just then there was a knock at the door. I asked Ann to answer it, and I would hold the dog because she didn't really like strangers. A moment later, Ann turned to me and said, "I think this is for you, Mom." When I walked to the door, in that second, my world changed. In that moment, it was that moment that every military family, every military mother dreads. Standing at my door were 2 officers in full dress uniform. But I saw only one thing: the cross on the chaplain's collar. I can't tell you their ranks, or their names, or where they came from. Everything was a bit of a blur. I knew in that instant Ryan was dead. They could not give me the formal notice until my husband could arrive home. And it took Ann and I a while to track down my husband and Greg at the award ceremony following the parade. When they did arrive home, they came with the entire Mine Hill Fire Department. At that time, one of the officers read the following: "I regret to inform you that your son Ryan died today." I didn't hear the rest of it. I just wanted everybody to go away, but that wasn't to happen. But enough about me. Let's go back to January 1978. For those of you not old enough to remember, that was a winter of epic proportions. Blizzard after blizzard, snow, snow, and more snow. Ryan decided it was a good time to be born, even though he was 2 months early. My doctor told me I should expect him to weigh maybe 2 pounds, and he had a 30% chance of surviving. Well, he surprised them all. He weighed over 5 pounds, and instead of being in the NICU for 2 months, as they told me he would be, he came home in 11 days, just in time for another blizzard. No one was prepared, least of all my family, when we received the call saying he was ready to come home. I guess he was determined to get home before that blizzard, And that determination would come into play all through his life. Ryan was the middle child. We all know what that means. Anne, who was almost 5 years older, loved her little brother until he was mobile. 14 months later, Gregory joined our family. Now, Ryan began walking at 7 months. It's unusual, but not impossible. He began walking with a bar that he wore attached to his shoes 23 out of 24 hours a day to correct his hip and leg, his foot that turned in. He could go up and down the stairs, climb out of his crib, and generally get into whatever he wanted to at that point. My husband and I got very little sleep. Again, that determination to do things. He attended school in Mine Hill and graduated from Dover High School in 1996. During his time in school, he played t-ball, football, soccer, wrestling, you name it. One sport after another, and sometimes, as with wrestling, he wrestled for the school and the town as well. He learned to play the tuba in middle school, and he would continue that right on to the Virginia Military Institute, where he was a part of the regimental band. And he was part of the Rogate program. I don't know if they still have that or not, but it was for gifted and talented students. And it had been determined that he was gifted, and he was in this program, and in the 7th grade he took the SATs. He was recognized by the state for his high scores on the test. After he graduated from high school, while he was a senior in high school, he decided he wanted to go to Auburn University and play football there. Now, his sister had graduated from Auburn the year before, and he really liked their football program because they won a lot. When he took the SATs, you could send your scores to 3 schools. He had them sent to Auburn, which was his first choice, the University of Kentucky, which was my alma mater, and the Citadel. Why the Citadel? Well, because I visited there on a band trip, and I thought it was kind of cool. It'd be a nice place to go down and visit. He had no intention of going to either Kentucky or the Citadel. As he put it, they were always having a rebuilding year in football. At this point, he is now 6'6" and weighs 250 pounds, which to us is a pretty good size football player. He played tackle and nose guard for Dover. Just before his senior year, he went to football camp at Auburn, where he was one of the smallest people there. My daughter took him down and she called me and she said, "Mom, he's not going to survive this. These other guys, they're freshmen and they're twice his size." His coaches down there kept saying to him, "Sure you shouldn't be at kickers camp?" And when he told them that he wanted to go there to play football, they said, "Nah, we don't recruit in the Northeast. You don't play real football. It's not tough enough there." But he still was determined that's where he was going to school, until he met someone from Parsippany. I didn't think about that until I was writing this. He met a gentleman at a college fair. His name was Kurt Iverson, VMI class of '85. And they started talking, and Mr. Iverson explained to him the advantages of going to VMI over any other college in the country. And Ryan was hooked. Me, not so much. He got the handbook, and I looked at it and it says you have to have 2 years of a language while you're at school. And I looked at it and I said, you couldn't pass 1 year of a foreign language in high school. How are you going to pass 2 in college? But he was still determined he was going. We went to a dinner hosted by the alumni where we sat with the football coach. Well, that was it. He decided he had to go there and check out this school because it was great. He spent a weekend there. Now he came home, this was where he had to go to school. And his determination finally convinced me that it was a good idea. Military school of any type is difficult, and VMI is no exception. Ryan began his rat year as a biology major. He ended it as a physics major. He was a member of the class of 2000. Now, people in this part of the country aren't really familiar with that. If you were from Virginia, you would know that was the last all-male class at VMI. And of that, he was very proud. He was a walk-on the football team until he developed mono. And when he recovered from that, he discovered rugby. Football without pads and better parties. He joined the Virginia National Guard in an artillery unit in Martinsville, Virginia. He did it, he told me, so that he could get in-state tuition. I think he was just enjoying himself too much. He saved us about $12,000 a year, which came in handy because now Greg was at Auburn University. He was a member of the Cadet Battery. They were the ones who shot off the big guns at all the special events. Now, during summer school in 1988, Ryan was chosen to be one of the featured actors in a commercial Norelco filmed there. It ran on the cable channels and all the major channels, networks, and you can still see it on YouTube today. He was so excited because he was being paid $200 for 3 days' work. He thought that was pretty great. Boy, was he surprised when the residual checks started arriving. For the next 3 years, every time it aired on TV, he got paid, which was really nice. During the summer of 1999, Ryan attended basic training at Fort Sill, and he wasn't able to make the 24-hour rule they have at VMI. He needed 3 more hours to move up to be a first-classman. The Institute decided to give him a vacation for a year for him to make up what he was missing. And he went to Fairleigh Dickinson University, where he was on the honor roll, and they invited him to be part of their honors program. When I suggested he complete his degree there, he laughed and said, "No, I want that big VMI diploma." And when I say big, it's about this tall, and it's actually on sheepskin. He finally graduated, thank goodness, with a degree in history and a minor in business. Yes, he changed his major 3 times while he was there. One of his favorite things was something called Operation Jeep. When he was in 2001, that fall, a group of cadets decided it would be fun to liberate the Jeep used by the Citadel's commandant during parades. It was a World War II Jeep. So they came up with this whole plan, and he helped execute it, where they actually went down to South Carolina, acquired, they didn't steal it, they just acquired it, brought it back to VMI, rode it across the football field during the halftime, with all the cadets who were involved riding on it, the Citadel cadets chasing them, and the Lexington, Virginia police chasing them. There is a book written about it by J. Michael Judge called The Jeep, which tells you all about the planning and so forth, and of that they were very proud. Following his graduation in 2002, his unit was activated as part of Operation Noble Eagle. When that year was complete, he moved back to New Jersey and joined the 3rd of the 112th Field Artillery based in Morristown. They told him, "You don't have to worry, we don't get deployed, we guard the bridges and the tunnels." 3 weeks later, they got their orders. They were being deployed to Iraq. Ryan did not have to go because at that time the National Guard had a rule that you didn't have to do back-to-back deployments. However, he volunteered to go so that those who had families, young children at home, would not have to. In January 2004, the 3rd of the 112th went to Fort Dix to practice for the desert. January in New Jersey equals desert in Iraq. I don't think so, but that's the Army. Near the end of the month, we received a phone call saying he'd been injured. They were doing some kind of a drill, and he was supposed to be a bad guy, and he had to go down in these tunnels with metal ladders that went straight down. He's got leather-soled boots covered in snow and ice, so when the leather hit the metal, he slid, and he broke both of his heels. He was told he would be in a wheelchair for 6 weeks and rehab for 6 months. Well, just less than 6 weeks later, he convinced the doctors he was fine to go and join his unit. He arrived in Iraq on Good Friday, April 2004. On Friday, June 4th, as his unit was returning from a combat mission, they came under small arms and RPG fire. As a result, Staff Sergeant Frank Carville of Carlstadt and Specialist Christopher Duffy of Brick were killed, as well as 3 members of the Oregon National Guard who came to their defense. In addition, 2 members of the unit were severely injured. Frank had survived both bombings of the World Trade Center. In the both attacks on the World Trade Center. In the bombing in the 90s, he carried a handicapped co-worker down 57 flights of stairs. At 51, he was one of the oldest guardsmen deployed to Iraq. Chris was married and the father of an infant son. On Saturday, June 5th, Ryan and the other members of his unit were told that they did not have to go out on their scheduled mission. They insisted they be allowed to complete their assigned duties. As they were returning to base, the armored vehicle Ryan was driving hit an IED. Ryan died almost instantly. Staff Sergeant Umberto Timoteo, who had been called up to replace Ryan when Ryan was injured in January, was sitting next to him, and he died a short time later. The others in the vehicle only had minor injuries. Umberto was married and the father of a 3-year-old son. His wife was active duty Army stationed in Korea. Ryan was buried in Section 60 of Arlington National Cemetery. For those of you not familiar with Arlington, it's 14 acres in the southeast corner of the cemetery that serves as the burial ground for many military personnel killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. It looks towards the columbarium and beyond that the Potomac River. Ryan's funeral was so large that the people in charge were upset with us. They thought tourist buses had managed to get into the cemetery. Actually, it was 2 buses from Mine Hill, provided by Dr. Hodis, our local veterinarian, for anyone who wanted to go to the funeral. A bus from the Virginia National Guard, a bus of VMI cadets who served as an honor guard, and a bus of New Jersey National Guard members. Then there were all the individual cars of family, friends, brother rats from VMI, and co-workers. The funeral was also attended by the Adjutant General of the state of New Jersey, who happened to be a Citadel graduate who had heard about the Jeep incident. Congressman Frelinghuysen, Senators Lautenberg and Corzine. Ryan had friends serving in all branches of the military, and many were able to attend the service. He also knew just about every girl at Mary Baldwin College and Hollins University, and I think they were all there. The letters LCWB are inscribed on Ryan's class ring to represent the members of the last all-male class. When designing the plaque for the VMI Memorial Garden, we chose the words loyalty, courage, wisdom, and bravery to represent him. We couldn't use what the letters actually meant because the committee that has to screen what you put on the plaque wouldn't have accepted it. But these words, loyalty, courage, wisdom, and bravery, stand for the qualities so many people saw in Ryan. I hope I've been able to give you a little glimpse into what my son Ryan was like. Even though he's not here today, he will always be in the hearts of everyone who knew him. Thank you for allowing me to talk about Ryan and the other members of his unit. They are truly American heroes who put their lives on hold to serve their country. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Now we will have Ways to Honor the Fallen by Matt Adamczyk, American Legion Post 249.
In America, we honor our fallen on Memorial Day in various ways. We hold ceremonies, have parades, plant flowers, and place flags in cemeteries. Another country that honors our fallen is the Netherlands. During World War II, the people in the Netherlands suffered horribly under Nazi occupation. In a Dutch cemetery, 8,301 American soldiers are buried. They died in the battles to liberate the Netherlands in the fall and winter of 1944 and 1945. The soldiers buried in that cemetery have been adopted by Dutch families who tend the graves and keep alive the memories of the soldiers they have adopted. It is the custom to keep a portrait of their foreign soldier in a place of honor in their homes. Each year, the Dutch people hold ceremonies in honor of those brave men who freed them from Nazi oppression. On Liberation Day, memorial services are held for those who fought and died for their freedom and liberty. The day concludes with a concert at which Il Silencio, translated to silence, is the concluding piece. It is a beautiful and haunting melody, and by listening, you will be saluting not only those who died in the Netherlands, but our U.S. military dead, wherever their final resting place may be. We asked Anthony Paterno of the Brooklawn Middle School to play it for us. Many of the notes, as you will hear, are similar to our taps. So similar, it is often referred to as the full version of taps. Anthony?
Thank you, Anthony. Now, Lest We Forget by Michelle Sylvan, confidential aide to the Honorable Jimmy Barberio.
Lest we forget the price that you paid. Lest we forget the sacrifices you made. Lest we forget the men we once knew. Fear not, America will never forget you. Lest we forget the way that you died. Lest we forget your American pride. Lest we forget you did not die in vain. Fear not, America will see you again. Lest we forget the freedom we've gotten, and remember that a man ain't dead until he's forgotten.
Thank you, Michelle. Now we will have benediction by Reverend Donald Bragg. Uncover.
Please stand to receive a blessing, not just on ourselves here gathered this morning or upon Parsippany, but upon our whole country. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance and grant you his peace. Amen.
Okay, now we are going to retire the colors. I would like to thank all of you for coming to honor our deceased veterans. The parade starts at noon on Littleton Road by Sylvan Way. Please join us. Color Guard, retire the colors.